I finally decided to go and play a game that was being shilled to me by HexDSL. That game is Ys VIII or Ys VIII. I don't know how to say the name. Uh, and man, oh, it broke. Um, wait, where is it? There? Oh, I'm on the wrong window. That would be why it broke. Man, this game is so good. Can we see the combat? I don't want to see the I don't want to hear the music. Let's see the combat. Like, this game is honestly really, really fun to play. I don't think I've ever played an action RPG that has combat that is this fluid. So the two characters I've unlocked so far, I've got Adel and Laxia. They both play amazingly. Like, I thought, ever since playing Tales of Berseria, I sort of expect a JRPG to have some characters that aren't fun to play. Like, maybe, there's, like, I don't know, one's a bit too slow to, you know, use comfortably. But no, they both attack really quickly. This game sort of emphasizes very, very fast-paced combat. And speaking of soundtracks, holy crap, this soundtrack is so, so good. I wish I could play it, but it'll get copyright claimed probably straight away. I don't know, maybe, because it is a game soundtrack, it might be fine. But I highly, highly suggest, where's the thing? I highly suggest listening to the, actually, I'll find what the first song in the game was called. Yes, is it 8? Yeah, 8, OST. The song is called Sunshine Coastline. This is the first song in the entire game after you do the introduction area. It's just like fucking metal the entire, like, you're just in a grassy field. Like, there's nothing that crazy happening on. There's a couple of little enemies like coming and attacking you, and it's like do 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 do. Like, what is happening? What is happening? I don't understand this. Why is this music so hype? I am in a grassy field. There is nothing going on. I don't understand this. It's a very good game, and apparently the entire series is very well known for having just good music. And this is rare, not for just JRPGs, but for games in general. Most of the time, game soundtracks are very forgettable. But both this and Ender Lilies have a beautiful soundtrack. Presumably the rest of this game is going to have an amazing soundtrack either. Honestly, I would put the soundtrack for Ys VIII on the same level as, like, the Persona soundtracks. Like, maybe even higher. I adore the Persona 5 soundtrack, and I will listen to it constantly in my spare time. But there are sometimes, like, some songs in the soundtrack that I'm not a big fan of. I have not found a song I don't like in this soundtrack. They're all fucking insane. And it's not just for this game either. The older games have amazing soundtracks either. As well as what I meant to say. So I'm only a couple of hours into this game. I love the combat. I love the soundtrack. It's got this really interesting dodge mechanic, actually, that I don't think I've ever actually seen in any other game. So most games will encourage you to dodge roll to, you know, not die, which is a fairly good encouragement. But this game actually encourages you to dodge roll at the last second. And this is a really cool mechanic. So normally when you dodge roll in the game, you're like, dodge the attack. If you dodge at the last second, it activates this this mode called Flash Move. I'm gonna say Flash Move, called Flash Move. And what Flash Move basically does is you get like a speed boost, and not just movement speed boost, but also like attack speed boost as well. So if you manage to dodge at the last second, you can actually chain into doing more damage to the enemy. It encourages you to play this game like on the edge, trying to play as quickly as possible. And it is such a cool mechanic that absolutely fits with the way this game works. And I'm so happy it's there. I don't know if there are other games that have done that. Presumably something else has. But man, it looks it's so cool. And it's kind of difficult to hit on like the smaller enemies, because sometimes the smaller enemies sort of get what's the word? You can't really see them because it's got sort of spectacle fighter sort of combat or combat effects where there's just shit everywhere. There's like effects constantly happening. And some of the little enemies you literally cannot see, but most of the time the little enemies don't do much damage anyway. But for the bigger enemies and the bosses, it's fairly easy to actually work out the timing as well. The attacks are not telegraphed in like the most obvious way, but once you get hit like maybe once or twice, you can start sort of piecing together the actual timing. Oh, the other thing, it actually encourages you to just use your abilities. This is a problem I have with a lot of JRPGs, especially turn-based ones, where you'll have all of these really cool abilities you can use, but your MP is going to be very limited. So you can use like a couple of them, and then you have to use like an ether, and then you have to use another one. It's like, it's fine, but I wish the game let you just use abilities more. This game, the abilities are a far less damaging thing. So it's not going to be like, hey, you just cast like a Fire Arga, for example, and everything died. But the abilities are very useful because you actually get bonuses from using them as well. So if you kill an enemy with an ability, I think you might get bonus SP, so you can use another ability, or it might be like bonus HP or something. And it encourages you to spam them out. Also, when you just attack things, you get SP to do attacks, or to do specials or abilities, which is awesome. And the other reason why you want to keep using abilities is because if you use enough abilities, so you have two gauges. You have your SP gauge and then your, I guess, finisher gauge. I don't remember what it's actually called. But the SP gauge is filled with attacks, and then the finisher gauge is filled with abilities. Once that's filled up, you'll do some like massive finisher attack and do a ton of bonus damage. So it really encourages that fast-paced, just attack the thing as quickly as possible sort of gameplay. And the other thing that very much feeds into that is, so it's got at least Ys VIII has a party system. I know the older games didn't, but this one does. And the different party members you have different damage types they'll do. The two characters I have right now, Adel, the main character, he has slashing damage, and then Laxia, she has a rapier. A rapier? Rapier. Whatever. And obviously that does stabbing damage. And different enemy types actually take different damage, or take more damage from different damage types. So right now there is these flying enemies, and if you stab them, they will take a lot of bonus damage and fall to the ground. Now, most JRPG character switch systems don't really encourage character switching, because if you swap characters, you'll like go back to where like the other person is standing. Not in this case. In this case, if I swap characters, it swaps the place of the characters. So if I'm attacking an enemy directly in front of me, and I swap from Adel into Laxia, I will just basically transform into Laxia, and I can just, not even just transform, I keep my combo going. So if I am doing, say, an air combo, and I do one attack as Adel, and then I switch to Laxia, I can do the second attack as Laxia, which is, I've never seen that before. It's such a cool system. I actually love it. So it really encourages you actually swapping back and forth between the characters. Also, you get different bonuses whether you use air combos or ground combos. I think if you do an air combo, you get bonus XP, and ground combos you get, might be bonus SP, if I'm not mistaken. And both, I've never played a JRPG where the air combos feel as good as the ground combos. We've found it. We've found it. It doesn't feel too floaty. It doesn't feel like, it is a little bit floaty because it is a JRPG, and you know, you're hovering in the air while swinging your sword. But the thing that really saves that is you can dodge roll in the air. there's not many games that do this. I know Dead Cells does it. I know that Ender Lilies does it. But there's a lot of games out there where when you're in the air, you can't guard, you can't dodge, you can't do anything except take the damage and fall. The game doesn't care. It's like, hey, you want to do a flash move in the air? Go right ahead. And you can do it. And then, like, switch into another character and just keep going like that. It's such a cool system. Man, I could keep talking about Ys VIII all day. I've only played a couple of hours of it, but I am genuinely in love with this game. It is so good.